This is the back of the chalet, for lack of a better word. Now you notice I've got a brown piece on here and I've got a red piece. Now the red piece is the outside, and what I've done is I've put a reinforcing piece, and it's in the file, on the inside. It's cut very slightly smaller than the inside triangle. So what you do is you put it behind, you open up these doors, and you do all this after you've done your score lines, by the way. You want to put your score lines, you want to fold your score lines before you do anything else. So you put it flat, you open up these doors, and then you close one of the doors, lift up the outer part, put glue on it, stick it down, and then do the same with the opposite side. So these doors are actually stuck together. Now on the back you will see this little thin strip, and it's only there as a temporary measure. It's useful for keeping things in place, but other than that you don't need it. So you can close this back up then, and oops, I switched my glue gun off because it was dribbling, but I'll probably get a little bit. Can I get a little bit? No, okay. Right, you want to put glue there on the outer triangles, and then you want to simply trim this little piece off. It isn't needed, okay, once you've got it stuck down, and that will make your nice roof support your eaves on the back. Now I've made it with this opening so you can put a light in there if you want to. If you've got a tea light you want to put in, or even a string of fairy lights, you can slot them in there. And once you've done that, you can simply put your sides up and glue those in place as well. Once you've done that, you've got your back eaves done, and the front eaves are done in a very similar way. Now I've done these in a sparkly glitter card, and I've done the lining out of a plain brown one. Now again, it's cut slightly smaller than the inside triangle. Now this gives you a choice. If you want to, you can trim a little bit more off of there if you like. But if you want to, you can slide it one way or the other and you'll get a shadow effect on your lettering. It's up to you whether you do it or whether you line it up precisely. It is cut exactly the same, but you can shift it if you want to get that three-dimensional effect. Now the reason I'm using a glue gun today is because of this glitter card. It is nigh on impossible to glue it with anything other than a hot glue gun. You don't necessarily have to use a hot glue gun. Otherwise you can use whatever strong glue or tape you can rely on. But you do want to make sure it is reliable. Now the outer part of the drawers is very simple. It is a flat piece. I've got all mine cut. And I'll pick another one up, if I can grab one. Got two here. The score lines are on it already, so you simply fold on the score lines all in the same direction, and then you can glue it together. Now what I suggest you do is make sure that the tab section is on the inside of the box and not the outside, and that should help it to be much more easy to put together when you actually assemble the whole thing. So simply put glue on there and bring it to the edge. You can obviously put it like that if you want to, if you're not sure exactly where the edge is. So you can put it on a flat surface and glue it, and then the outside bit will be done. Now the inside of the box is slightly different. It's a standard box. There's nothing different in that. Very, very obvious how it goes together. You put the flaps on the inside, and you have these two edges because these are going to be the front and the back respectively. And you will stick it together like that. Now the difference is I haven't put a hole or anything in the front of this for you to put a brad through, because I don't know if you do want to put a brad through. You can if you want to, but you don't have to. if you're going to put a brad through, what I would suggest is that you use the decor panel, which I will provide. I will give you a cutout shape for the decor panel with a hole already in it for you. And then you can stick your brad through that hole when you've put the decor panel on. You can put this onto some foam, stick the brad through, or stick a sharp object through. I use my my dental pick thing here. Put some foam underneath and make the hole through that then. I didn't put the hole in simply because somebody might not want it. Some people are going to want it. Yeah. And if you put it in, you can't take it out, whereas if you haven't put it in, you can at least put it in. But if you're going to do that before you assemble the front of the box, because it's far more difficult to do it when the box is put together. It just makes it a lot harder to actually put the hole in. But other than that, it's very, very simple. And you've got 25 of these to make. Once you have the front portion lined and stuck together on the corners, you can actually put the roof on. Now what I've done here is I have put it slightly to the left side of the score line to give that a little bit of room to fold over, so it folds over better. And that is the front part of our little chalet done. If you notice, I've actually embossed with a blunt tool. I just embossed the shape of tiles on there. It just gives it a nice look. When you make the boxes, you will probably want to put some kind of handle on it. Now I was going to use a normal sort of decorative brad, but the decorative brads I've got are fairly large and they also go completely flat to the box. And I was looking for some more brads and I found these in a local stationer's, and these are a type I've not come across before, but they're two-part brads. So you have the head of the brad and then you have this little metal piece which slots behind to lock it as well. Thought that might be quite handy at some point. But the other thing is, and that's quite noticeable with these, apart from the fact that they look pretty strong, is that there is quite a standoff from the base where it goes through the hole to the front, which is also something which is quite useful if you're looking for a handle. Now what I did discover, which I'd done and I didn't realise, I didn't think about it at the time, was that if you're using this type of brad, then you need to be able to put your brad through, but you still need to be able to close this up. And this is going to be slightly awkward. It's doable, but it's not the easiest things to do. So what I've done is I've altered the file, so instead of the tabs pointing towards the front, the tabs come off at this side and they point towards the back. And that will mean that you'll have a nice flat front, you won't be impeded in any way, and it will be a lot easier to actually get it closed up when you put it all together. Now, when I showed you how to do the sleeve earlier, I did it in 3-dimension like this, but what you can do is actually put it so that the tab is folded down and then you fold it from this. You can fold this back up a little bit, stick your glue or whatever on there, and then fold it down, do it flat, and then pop it up. Do put in your crease folds first though, because it's very difficult to do that once it's in 3 dimensions. And we need 25 of those, all stacked together, 5 rows of 5s in order to make the body of our Swiss chalet. Before I forget, just want to remind you, if you're going to use something like this, which has the double pin at the back, make sure that you insert it into the front of the drawer so that the pins can go either side. I've spent the last probably about an hour or so making up 25 boxes and made them all up the same way as I showed you, and then you can open them up. Some of them I didn't bother to put the metal back on because I don't think in this instance it's going to make a great deal of difference whether I do or not. But I've added some pretty gemstones to the fronts, and I've used different ones. There we go, different varieties. So I've gone for a metallic foil card. Some of them are embossed and some of them are not. And I need to put these together. So I've got my glue gun here warming up in readiness. Now, at the moment, I don't have to decide on the pattern that I want these things to go in. All I need to do is put them in stacks of 5. I can take out the drawers whenever I wish, so I don't have to decide what colour I want next to the other and so on and so forth. I don't have to bother with that. It's just a case of having the boxes with the drawers inside so I can stick them together like that. That's all I need it to be able to do. So I decided hot glue was probably going to be the way to go because of the instant adhesion, and also if I did it with double-sided tape, that's just a faff. That is a really, really faffy thing to have to do for 25 boxes. What I want to do now is to put a bounding strip around the outside of all of these to just contain them and to hold them all together even more firmly. So more hot glue. So there we go, that's that bit done. Now what I want to do is to put a back on here, and then I will be putting decor panels on the side anyway. So, you know, I can attach the back to this piece and I can go over it again. If I want to give it another layer, I can give it another layer of card, and that will increase the strength of the box. But what I need to do is to make sure that I cut it the correct size and then just put it over the top and stick it around these edges, making sure that I don't stick the boxes themselves in, because these go right to the back, so you definitely don't want to stick those in. So I've laid this box on top of a piece of matching cardstock, and I've just drawn a line from the corner to the outside of the card, and I'm just going to manually snip that. I didn't bother cutting one of these in a file, and then I want to score it, so I'm going to get my trusty metal ruler and my scoring tool. You may recognise this, it's a dotting tool that is used by nail artists. So all of these boxes together, just line it up in the middle. And put some glue on. That's really nice and sturdy now, and it's ready to be assembled with the rest of the chalet. So what I suggest you do is put the back piece on while it is still open, and then put this piece over the top and glue it down to the front. It's easier to do it that way than it is to slot this piece in afterwards, and this is nice and sturdy anyway, so it'll be fine. So you want to centre it up and to glue it in place. Now you can do the hot glue method, or in this case you could use tape if you want to. If you feel it'll be easier with tape because you've got more time to actually get it in place, then I suggest you use the tape. And make sure you've lined it up with the edge. Get that on there. And then that's on there. There we go. That goes on nice and easily. And we have the back eaves on. And then this one, again, we can put the double-sided tape on, we can do that. But what you need to do is put some tape on here as well, because otherwise it won't actually be affixed to your roof, and you do actually want it to be joined on there. So you can either put double-sided tape on, or you can put this on first, get it sorted out on the front, and then squeeze some glue under there if you want to do it that way. I haven't quite got enough there, so I will get another piece of tape to put on the end bit. Did that one a little bit too short. Not much, but just a bit. And I do want to make sure it goes right to the end there. There we are. Okay. So take it by the edges and to hook it over the roof that's on the back. There we are. And I can lift it forward. To make sure it's adhering there, and then all we have to do is put some tape or glue on that one and just press that down. And there it is, it's on. If you've got any odd bits of glue, you can pull them away. If you've got any soft glue that you need to move, you can use one of these tools again, and you can literally pull it out with one of those. It works quite well. I decided something was missing, and what was missing is a chimney. So I have designed this cutout, and I know it looks like a really, really weird shape. It took me a good hour and a half, I think, to get the file to work. I needed to get the angles right, I needed to get the sizing right, but I think I've done it now. So I've cut it out in dark red card because I think that's probably the best thing to use for this particular case. I wouldn't do the same thing as the tiles, for example, for the chimney. So it's pretty simple to go together, it's self-explanatory. You just need to glue it shut, and I've made it so that instead of going into a hole in the roof, it can actually sit directly on the roof. So it's rather like an open-topped box, but with an angle, as you can see. And there we have the chimney. I finished off this house with just some decorative card on the sides, so you could do different sorts of decorative panels. I have included a decorative shaped panel in the file, but if you just want to do a straightforward panel, just measure your side and cut it to size. So that's what I've done. It is in fact a smooth glitter cardstock, but it has a little star design on it, which is rather pretty. Now for lights, you can pick up something like this. I got this from the local Chinese shop for about €2. Battery operated, there's 2 meters of lights in there, and basically all you need to do is to open it up at the back and pop it inside. So that will provide you with plenty of light to light up the Noel on the front. Now obviously if you don't want Noel on the front, you don't have to have it. You could go without it altogether. If you don't put lights in, you could go with Merry Christmas or something like that. If you have cutter software or even dies that you can use, you can do whatever design you like in the roof. And as the addition of a couple of euros worth of battery operated lights will make it look really, really pretty when it's glowing in the evening. I don't happen to have any cotton wool to put in the chimney, but obviously that would finish it off if you wanted to do that. And as I mentioned before, you can swap around the drawers to whatever design you so wish, because it doesn't make any difference where they go. Fill that up with some nice surprise sweets, chocolates, or you could even go to town and put little items of jewellery or something in there if you're really, really going to be generous. that's it. I hope you like my little Swiss chalet, and I will see you again soon. Take care now.